Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today's video, I am ranking all 5 Rambo movies from First Blood to Last Blood. Anyway, so tune in to see where each one gets on my list here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on this Wednesday evening here in Kansas for me. And I want to do a video ranking all 5 Rambo movies. Recently, the last couple of weeks, I was on HBO Max and First Blood was on there, and it was like a Friday evening or something like that, and I was like, I feel the mood for a little action movie, you know, and I've seen First Blood, and I've seen the first 3 Rambo movies before, but I was like, I'm in the mood for an action movie, so I put on First Blood on HBO Max, watched that, really enjoyed watching that. First Blood Part 2, also on HBO Max, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch First Blood Part 2 while I'm here. So I ended up watching First Blood Part 2, so I ended up watching both of them back to back, like on a Friday night a couple of weeks ago. And man, I was enjoying watching that. So then I was like, you know what? Rambo 3 is on here. So then on a separate day, I watched Rambo 3. Anyway, so I was just like, just wanted to complete the Rambo trilogy there. And then when I was on Netflix, I realized Rambo and Rambo Last Blood was on Netflix. I've never seen Rambo or Rambo Last Blood, the last 2 Rambo movies. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna complete the Rambo. I don't know why I was on this big Rambo kick, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch the last 2 Rambo movies I haven't seen before on Netflix. Watched all 5, and so usually I do the movie gauntlet, which is movies that I've seen for the first time that I like to kind of review on the channel. And so usually I would put those 2 Rambo movies in on the movie gauntlet, and I was like, why not just talk about all 5 and rank them also, which ones I liked the most and which ones I liked the least, and it'd be kind of a fun video just talk about Rambo. And Rambo, I think, definitely is one of the best action franchises out there, one of the most well-known. It's one of Sylvester Stallone's most well-known roles, along with Rocky. Very iconic image of the 80s, I would say, Rambo, and I'll talk about some more of that here. Yeah, and like I said, I've seen the first 3 before. I've been a fan. Now I watched the last 2. Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching this. Like I said, Rambo is almost like a adjective that you use to describe a badass. To say, man, that guy's a real Rambo. That guy went Rambo over everybody. I mean, so Rambo's just synonymous, or I don't know if that's not a word, but you know what I mean. It's a word you use to describe somebody that is, you know, really good at killing people, I think, is a Rambo. Anyway, so I'm going to go through my 5, starting with my least favorite of the franchise, which is the last movie, the last one that I saw, which is Rambo Last Blood, which I have to say, great title, especially when the first movie is First Blood. The name of the 5th movie, Last Blood. I mean, I love the title and everything, but almost as far as it goes. I mean, I do like Sylvester Stallone. He's like 73 years old. Still gives off a pretty good performance. Still looks like he could beat people up and could be a menace and somebody I wouldn't want to mess with. So I really think Sylvester Stallone still has it as an actor, and even though at 73 he can't do the action quite as well, he still looks pretty good with what he does in the movie. So, and he has a great presence about him. He has a great look, serious look about him. So I have to give it to him. I thought he was definitely still best part of this movie, obviously. Overall, I didn't care so much for the plot. I mean, it still works. It's, in my opinion, it felt like same plot as Taken, which I love the movie Taken. But I felt like, as I was watching, I was like, okay, girl gets kidnapped and put into sex slavery, you know, forced into sex slavery, forced drugs into her system, like heroin or whatever. They shoot her up, you know, and I'm thinking, like, man, this is like Taken, you know, except in Taken, they're in France, in Paris, France, when the girl gets kidnapped. Here, we're in Mexico, and the girl gets kidnapped. And then we have Stallone's John Rambo, going in to find her and try to rescue her from this bad situation. So similar, and he's willing to gruesomely murder anybody that gets in his way. Somewhat similar take anyway. So yeah, so it has a similar feel, and I didn't mind it at first because I was like, oh wow, man, he means business. After he takes out some drug cartel guys, I'm like, wow, like he's very brutal. He doesn't mind hurting anybody. I kind of like that attitude towards these kind of movies. Like, don't take it easy on anybody. Kill everybody that's involved. In order to rescue the person that you need to. Anyway, so like it's not the worst premise. It just feels like one that's been done before. But what really kills it about, it's almost impossible not to spoil the movie to say why I didn't like it. But halfway through the movie, a certain thing happens, event happens that ruins the whole movie, kills all the motivation for the main character, and ruins any kind of happy ending that the movie could have had. And if you know me, I said I love a good happy ending. And so this thing happens, and then the rest of the last 30 minutes or whatever of the movie, it's basically just a Rambo getting revenge against this drug cartel. And he lures him back to his house into the basement where he has all these tunnels that he's built. And then you see him just gratuitously, gruesomely, just absolutely murder all these drug cartel guys, like, 20, 30 guys, I don't know, I think come down there. And it is very violent, about the most violent of the 5 movies, I would say. But it's not fun violence. I enjoy a little violence, killing bad guys. I like that. But I mean, the way he does it, I mean, he blows people. He like comes out of these tunnels and he'll like blow someone's head off and just explodes with all blood and all that. Or he sets up booby traps and they explode and it's all blood. Or he decapitates people with his big machete. I don't know. It wasn't fun for me watching him just brutally. Usually I have fun watching bad guys get killed, but this was a case where it's like, okay, he's just really over the top killing these guys. And in the end, it's still not a happy ending. It's still a sad ending. Even after he kills all these guys, gets revenge, I guess. But it's like, well, who cares? Your life is still ruined at the end. I'm still like upset over what happened to your character. And he kind of just, the way they leave the character, you don't even know if he's going to live or not. And it's just kind of a bad way to end the series. And I'll get to the 4th movie, but the 4th movie I thought ended in a good way. Ended in a way that you felt at peace with what's going on with John Rambo. And so it's like, this is such an unnecessary movie. Why take him out of a good ending in the 4th movie and bring him back to have a bad ending in the 5th movie? Anyways, I really did not like this movie. In fact, it kind of upset me watching it because I was like, I hated everything that happened plot-wise in this movie. And it didn't really feel like a Rambo movie. I mean, Rambo's 73 here with, Sylvester Stallone. He has, he doesn't have the long hair, doesn't have the cool bandana thing. He's not shooting people shirtless. I don't know. It's like, that's all. That's what I want to see out of Rambo. So seeing this 73-year-old, doesn't look like Rambo really. I mean, it's Sylvester Stallone. It could have been just any generic like action movie. It didn't have to be Rambo. And it all deals with just, going to Mexico and drug. So it just plot-wise is just the weakest of the 5. And I didn't like decisions made in it, and I didn't like the ending. So anyway, so yeah, I really say skip 5. I would not even watch 5 if he didn't have to, and try to end on a better note on some of the other movies. So that's number 5, Rambo Last Blood. 4th is Rambo 3, actually, the 3rd of the original trilogy. And mostly because it takes a while to get to the action. I feel like there's a long time of just plotting, getting to the place, which in this movie, it deals with him going to Afghanistan to rescue his former mentor, trainer, officer, senior officer, Colonel Troutman, who goes on to a secret like co-op mission, gets captured by the Russians. And how it deals with, in real life, the Russia invaded Afghanistan, I believe, and we gave weapons and stuff to Afghanistan to fight off the Russians because we were more afraid of the Russians because they were, communists and the whole Cold War thing. So it kind of deals with real life where, we're helping out the Afghanistan people. So Rambo goes to Afghanistan to not really to help them out, but to rescue his, friend, I guess, Colonel Troutman. And in the way, he helps Afghanistan fight off the Russians, of course. And there's a big action scene at the end, which is, there's some okay stuff there. So there's some ridiculous stuff there. Um, I think the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen is somehow he takes out a helicopter with a tank. And I don't mean shoot it. I mean, he runs the tank right into the helicopter, which, if you know anything about helicopters, the whole point of helicopters is that you can shoot from way up high, and, that's your advantage. But the helicopter gets down low enough for him to run a tank into us. I'm like, okay, how stupid are you to put your helicopter in a situation where you're going to get hit by a tank? I don't know. It doesn't seem smart to me, but I'm not a military strategist, but that's just my take. Anyways, then there's some crazy things. And if there's one lesson I can learn from this movie and from a lot of action movies, this one I really notice is that if you're going to go fight somebody, like, don't wear hand grenades like on your chest area or anywhere your torso. Don't have like hand grenades hanging off. It's just so easy for the other guy to pull the pin, and now you got a hand grenade stuck to you that's pulled, and now you got to figure out how to get it off, and then you explode. So that's my lesson or that's my advice to anybody out there. Don't fight somebody with a hand grenade. It's just too easy. I've seen it so many times in action movies, and it happens in this movie. You can see it. Oh, he's gonna pull the pin, and that guy's gonna explode. And it's like, yeah, that was a bad idea. I would never go into a fight with a hand grenade just strapped to me. Anyways, that's my take. Anyways, besides that, I don't know. I didn't quite enjoy the plot as much. I think it was a weak plot point, and it didn't make much sense to go to Rambo and say, "Hey, we got a covert Hey, you're good at jungle fighting. Let's go to Afghanistan where it's like no jungle, and let's help kill this Russian guy or something like that, and help the Afghanistan people." And it's like, why go to Rambo? Rambo's like, I already fought my war, and I'm like, yeah, don't bother Rambo. Rambo's already a hero, a war hero. Don't bother him with this Afghanistan stuff. I mean, come on, go get somebody else. Anyway, so I was kind of on John Rambo's side there. Anyways, yeah, and so I don't know. I didn't care for that whole plot point compared to the other ones. I think he's better when he's going to a jungle atmosphere, because I mean that's his thing. He was in Vietnam. He's good at jungle warfare, guerrilla warfare. Anyways, so I don't know. I didn't like all that. And then there's all these scenes with him with the Afghanistan people, and he's like riding a horse, playing some game. And it's like, okay, it just took too long to get to the action, I thought. And it's a little slow moving to me compared to the other ones. Plus, he's helping Afghanistan, who's the Al Qaeda, the government of Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden was responsible for September 11th and taking down our Twin Towers. So I'm like, I don't really. It's probably, to me, I know this happened before that, but it's like it doesn't age well when I'm watching. I'm like, oh man, we helping the guys that took down the Twin Towers. But anyways, so that's why 3 is there. Number 4. Number 3 is Rambo, the only movie directed by Sylvester Stallone. The 4th movie in the series. Now Rambo's like in his 60s in this movie. It was I wish they would have ended with this movie. It was a good ending to the character. I like how it's in Burma, so it does have kind of a jungle atmosphere. It really works for Rambo. Sylvester Stallone still has that long hair. He has the red bandana, so he still has that great Rambo look. And I like the whole plot, actually, of him going in and helping these missionaries who get kidnapped by the Burmese, like military, whatever, and they're doing horrible things. So he goes in kind of with these other mercenaries to rescue them. And he kind of knows the area because he lives there in Burma right now at this point in his life. It all worked plot-wise for me really well. And I thought, again, Sylvester Stallone gave a great performance as Rambo. Very serious, very stoic face. I mean, he had such a great face for this kind of movie and action. And the action at the end is really good. Love when he gets onto that huge gun and people's like heads are just exploding. I don't know. That was the case. It was very violent. Again, just like Last Blood, one of the most violent movies of the series. Almost too violent. I would say it's probably a little too violent for me. But at the same time, I kind of enjoyed watching all these really horrible people get killed. Now, I said in Last Blood it wasn't enjoyable, but in this one, out in the jungle, he's shooting people. I don't know. It was a little more enjoyable. And like I said, he was rescuing people, which is what I love about Rambo. He's always rescuing people, besides the first movie. So it was great seeing him go into military action or go into Rambo mode and just mow people down with this huge machine gun on this thing. Anyway, so yeah, I loved all that. Loved the action. I thought it was a great ending. I was at peace with the character. I felt like he was finally somewhat happy at the end. So I was like, good ending. Let's let him go, Rambo. Anyway, so that's number 3 on my list. Number 2 is the second movie, which is called Rambo First Blood Part 2. Interesting enough. And what I love about this movie is the first movie kind of ends on somewhat of a sad note. He gets arrested. Understandably, he used brutal force against the police force. He should have been arrested. I don't disagree with that. But yet, he's kind of the hero, kind of the. I have sympathy for the character, so it's like I hate seeing him just go in jail at the end of the first movie. So I love that the fact they go back, they get him out of jail in this movie, and they say, "Hey, we got a mission for you if you want to get out of jail, and we're going to go back to Vietnam and we're going to rescue POWs." Plot wise, makes total sense. Take a guy who's great at, he's fought in Vietnam, he's great at jungle warfare, he knows kind of the terrain pretty well, and you give him a great motivation to go. Well, he wasn't really set to rescue them, he was just set to take pictures, but of course Rambo's like, I'm not just going to take pictures, I'm going to rescue these guys because I used to be a POW. So you got a guy who has great motivation. He was a POW, he wants to rescue, he's very patriotic, he wants to go in and rescue these American POWs, and he doesn't mind killing some Vietnamese, communists as well, get back at them for what they did during the war, and also some Russians. We had to put the Russians in there because they're the evil at the time of the Cold War. So it totally makes sense. Again, what I love about all the Rambo movies, they're all about an hour and a half. They're all greatly paced, doesn't take too long, get in, kill people, get out. I think it's great. Second one, I think is a movie you think about the most when you think about Rambo. There's so much iconic scenes of, and I said, there's nothing better than a shirtless Sylvester Stallone, totally ripped. I mean, got totally ripped for the role, got totally jacked. Long hair, that red bandana, him with a huge machine gun, him yelling as he's just mowing people down with this machine gun. All these bad people. I mean, great image. Love it. Also love the bow and arrow. That's also a great image of him getting the bow and arrow, hitting the guy explodes. I mean, great action, 80s action. Anyway, so yeah, it works really well as an action movie. And I love Sylvester's performance. I love his, even there's kind of a revenge against the guy in charge, working for CIA or whatever, and I'm going to get you, and all that is great. Anyways, yeah, so excellent 80s action movie. I think second on my list, Rambo First Blood Part 2. Obviously, number 1 is the very first movie, which I've talked about before. It's the only one I own on Blu-ray, First Blood, and I talked about it, when I showed my physical media here. Again, I've watched this many times. Very high on my list of one of my favorite movies. It's not a big action movie like the second one. It's more of a psychological, drama, thriller, some action, where a guy has PTSD. He's come back from Vietnam. This local police force is harassing him. He escapes. They're chasing him through now that he's not in the jungle, but he's in a forest. So it's great for him because he's great in this kind of situation. And I love the scene where he takes out the police. He doesn't kill anybody, but he takes them out one by one, being able to camouflage himself and go around stealth, set booby traps. That's what I love about the character and makes him so unique in the action genre, is his stealthiness and the way he makes booby traps and moves around. And I love that whole scene. I just love when he gets the bad guy. I forget his name now. Brian Dennehy, I believe, is the actor's name. Taggart or something. Anyways, and he gets him. He's like, "You want me to bring you a war? I'll bring you." He's got the knife to his throat. "I'm gonna bring you a war if you keep chasing me." And like, out there you're the law, in here I'm the law. Talking about if they come chase him into the forest. Anyways. And so I have sympathy for him. I feel bad for him going through PTSD, going through all the bad stuff's happened to him. And I hate the police force, kind of, especially the main guy and the other guy. Anyways, and Troutman comes in, has some great lines, you know, if you're going to go in with that many people, just remember one thing. You know, what's that? Bring a lot of body bags. You know, he has so many great lines about, you know, how great Rambo is, and eats things that makes a billy goat puke or something like that. You know, yeah, so many great stuff, so many great lines, great character. Uh, Love all the psychological part of it, you know, him kind of being triggered and he drew first blood, you know, and that's why he's going kind of crazy and against his police force because they keep harassing him, they keep chasing him. He's telling them to stop it, but they won't stop. And then the very last scene is so good, and Sylvester Stallone gives such a great performance. I think Oscar-worthy performance. I mean, because he's kind of a quiet, stoic character. And at the very end, he kind of lets out all the emotions of coming back from war and so much great stuff, you know, of you asked me, I didn't ask you, meaning you asked me to come to war. I didn't come to you saying I want to go, you know, to Vietnam. You know, you drafted me. Like, you asked me, I didn't ask you, you know, such a great line. And then he goes into about, you know, all the horrors of the war that he saw. You know, it's over, Rambo. It's never over. You know, for him, the the effects of war are never over. He always relives it in his mind. That's what he says. It's never over. You know, he's always reliving the Vietnam War, even when he comes home. And that's why I feel for a lot of soldiers that come back, it's never over for them. They always suffer from the effects of war, and we see that in this character. And I love that, how we see, you know, how the effects of war does to a character like this. And such a great scene at the end, anyways. I can't praise it enough. One of my favorite movies. First Blood, #1 favorite Rambo movie. So that's my ranking of the 5 Rambo movies. Please comment what you think. What's your favorite Rambo movie? How would you rank them? All that. Love to hear what you think. Tell me I'm wrong. All that. Yeah. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for liking it. And just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day.